Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second video here for our week on man and nature and our unit on happiness and how to find it. Yesterday, you guys should have read I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud by Williams Wordsworth, done the common lead activities, and then posted on the Canvas discussion board. Today, you've got a very similar structure, just a different poem here from Blossoms by Lee Young Lee. This is a much more contemporary poem than the one you read yesterday, which is over 200 years old. Um, this one is just 34 years old. It's as old as me. Um, again, you're going to annotate, answer the assessment questions, and then post on the Canvas discussion board for From Blossoms. All right. Most of this video, though, is going to be about what we are doing tomorrow and Thursday. So when you're ready and you've read both poems and done the common lead activities and the discussion board, you can click here on this Wednesday part to make a copy of the work document. This is the work document you will turn in on Thursday or Friday, whenever you're done, at the end of the week. All right. So the first thing we're doing for tomorrow is a paired text activity where we're going to put both the text side by side and see how they stack up with a couple of these questions. First question is asked about the use of sensory language or imagery and how that adds something to the poem. So we want you to go a step beyond just identifying an example of sensory language and saying, hey, look, here's a place where they're describing something with visual detail. We want you to do some literary analysis. So start to think, all right, why would they do that? How does that add or connect to something else in the poem? How does it affect me as a reader? Maybe it adds to the tone, or it supports the theme, or it advances the plot, or try to connect the use of sensory language to something else going on in the poem. The second two questions here are a bit more related to our topic or theme here. So how do people or nature bring happiness in this poem? That's our topic for the week. And the last one here is just what do you think the overall theme or message of the poem is, right? This second activity here for tomorrow is a brainstorming activity that's going to get you ready for the writing prompt on Thursday. Okay, so we're setting you up a little bit here and getting your brain going in the right direction for the writing activity at the end of the week. So what we want you to consider for the brainstorming is just all the ups and downs that we've been through over the last 2 months, not being in school. We want to focus on some of the high moments, some of the best times we've had, some of the good things that have happened throughout this, because it is easy to get bogged down and worried in all the uncertainty and just general negativity that's floating around when people are all stuck inside their houses and some people are losing their jobs and all this stuff is going on. So I want you to try to pick a moment of positivity, of happiness, of just like pure joy that you've had over the last 2 months, and try to transport yourself back to that place and write down as many sensory details as you can think of. The more you have, the better. You're not going to have to use every single detail when in your writing activity, but the more you have to pick and choose from, the better options you will have. So these don't have to be complete sentences here. This can just be a bullet point list, or you can just put commas in between each thing. But just try to take some notes or jot down some ideas for these different sensory details from that moment. Okay. On Friday and Thursday, I suppose, it's due Friday. If you finish it early, you can start Thursday and turn it in on Thursday. We've got the writing prompt. Okay. I want you to write a personal narrative. I want you to pay attention to the format of your writing. A personal narrative capturing a moment of happiness you experienced recently, and reflect on why that moment was meaningful to you. So personal narratives, if you remember from the beginning of the school year, these are stories. They have to have a beginning, middle, and end. They need to have an exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution. All right. So these are stories. They have dialogue. They have sensory details. We did these at the beginning of the year when you wrote a personal narrative about an important choice that you made in your life. Remember, we made our timelines at the very beginning of the school year. So we're kind of bringing it full circle here back to the beginning of the year. So you've got to write a personal narrative, at least 2 paragraphs, got to be told from your point of view. So you can say I and me and we. it needs to capture a moment of time, not an entire day. So you really need to zoom in on one just moment. Okay. Um, and then there's some slides here that Mrs. Chibi made that really go through some of the elements of personal narrative that we want you to use in your personal narrative. So a little bit of review, um, some tips and some strategies on how to add detail using very specific word choice, using figurative language in your narrative. There's even a little exemplar that Ms. Chibi made of her own moment of happiness that you can read if you're not sure what we're looking for here. And then in these slides is also the rubric being used to grade the assignment. So you may want to take a look at that before you start writing or as you're proofreading before you turn it in. Okay. You can write your actual moment of happiness narrative right here. If you want to write it somewhere else and copy and paste it in before you turn it in, that's fine. You can also just type it in here. But this document with your narrative and with your activities from Wednesday complete is what you should turn in on Friday. All right. So those directions are right here when you're done. Okay. Um, I will have office hours tomorrow, and we'll have our live classes tomorrow as well. So be on the lookout for messages about those. And if you have any questions about the assignment as you're working through it, message me on Remind, email, Canvas, and I'll try to help you out. Have a great time with this assignment.